Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Zero Talks. I'm your host, Kayla Winter, Director of Product Services, Winemaking, and Sales at BevZero. We're doing a very special three-part series for Sober October. We're going to be talking to Daniel Stiller and Taylor Foxman of Better Rhodes, talking distribution, category insights, logistics, all of that. So without further ado, I'd love Dan and Taylor, you guys introduce yourself.
Okay, great. Well, I'll go first. My name's Daniel Stiller. I'm the CEO of Better Rhodes. And I've been involved in the non-alcoholic beverage industry for about 3 years now, which I guess kind of makes me almost a veteran. But it's this ever-evolving industry, and it's constantly feel challenged. But so I started this company with a good friend of mine, Chris Becker. We grew up together, and we've always wanted to do something together. And this was this big opportunity where we saw that something that was relevant to our lives was relevant to so many other people's lives as well. And that's how we basically got started.
Great, thanks. We'll jump more into that too. I'd love to hear more of the, what you guys were thinking and what the needs were when you decided to create this space.
Yeah, great.
Now, Taylor, what is your background?
Thank you first and foremost for having us. We're really excited to be here. So my background is vastly different than Dan and Chris's. It's all things traditional beverage alcohol. Started in the space when I was in college, interning for Svedka vodka. The running joke is that I was paid in vanilla vodka bottles when I was there. And then spent the last somehow 13 years professionally working for most of the larger kind of corporate conglomerates within beverage. So, absolutely, I was naming some brands, but like Macallan and Boston Beer and Campari and Absolute and Jägermeister. And then I work now with Dan and Chris and the team, helping with, they call me like a Swiss Army knife, but, fundraising support and partnerships and corporate business development and the like. And they found me through, me, I guess, over the last half year, a little bit over that, starting my own journey in this kind of more moderate drinking, sober, curious space. And it's been kind of a work-love connection ever since. So, yeah.
I thought you were going to say love-hate connection.
No. All love, just, I don't know how to word like work-love connection. I don't know.
Sure. No, I totally get that. Oh, that's great. And I think both your backgrounds kind of do a lot to, bring different perspectives into the space that, that we need. So we'll definitely want to get into that as well. So Daniel, do you mind telling me a little bit more back to you and Chris? What were you thinking when you made this? I mean, what was the space? What did it look like? And what were you hoping to create? And do you guys think you're there yet?
Yeah, I've been asked that a lot. What are you thinking? But so it was, again, Chris and I spent a lot of time. We lived together in Toronto, and we're definitely, we're in our 20s and loving the city and loving life. And as we got older, things changed. And Chris was on his personal journey with his relationship to alcohol, and he started talking to me about what he was seeing and the challenges that he was having, and just this idea of exploring what was out there and recognizing that there's so much out there, but it's so hard to find. And even when you do find it, trying to buy it, it's difficult. Like, I have to order this, I have to order that. There's minimum order quantities. All of a sudden, I'm like $700 in with product and shipping, and I still don't even know if I like it. So there had to be a better way to celebrate all the producers that are out there, because there's so many great producers out there, and a better way to celebrate those producers, but bring this community of people together to help them recognize what's out there, just make it easy for them to shop and to engage with this kind of growing phenomena. And Chris and I thought this was going to be about selling beer to guys like us. We really did. We thought it was, and we thought, oh, how cool will this be? We're kind of, it's like we're starting our own beer company. But the data really showed us that the market's completely different. We've really been selling wine to women in between the ages of 30 and 50. And it's really kind of helped change our vision of the company and where we can grow. And so, when you say, did you realize your vision? Our vision was completely off base, and our around the product. We still sell a ton of beer, but it's not the majority of our sales. But our vision of creating a community and making shopping for great non-alcoholic beverages easy, we're definitely on our path to achieving that. But I still think there's just so much more to do, and a big part of that is really celebrating the community and making just a fun, easy place for people to shop, learn about the products, learn about all that great producers that are out there, and also help launch producers in the North American market, which we've had so many great producer relationships, and we love kind of fostering those as well.
Great. Yeah. So, I mean, I totally understand that the idea of all of these brands exist. And if you want to go find them, you have to go to their personal website, hit the free shipping, order quantity, and that can be a huge barrier for the space. So it makes sense why so many online retailers have been popping up for non-alcoholic. You guys are the first in North America?
I don't think we're the first. I think there are players in the market before us. I think we've taken it to a different level and really focused on the community, focused on subscription models, on curated collections, on, our first initial foray into the market was a mixed 6-pack of beers, so that a customer could experience all the great beer that's out there, or a lot of the beer that is out there, but just in a very easy fashion. That's always been very much what our mandate's been. And so we have these great curated collections, which just make it very easy for people to engage with non-alcoholic products for the first time.
Great. I love it. All right. So let's talk distribution. I want to get into the nitty gritty here. Let's say I'm a brand and I want to be in stores, your store, but also physical locations. How can Better Rhodes help me, and what is step one?
Sure. So let me speak a little bit to the online presence, and I think I'd love to throw it over to Taylor to talk about the nuances and differences between traditional alcohol and the role that in distribution in a non-alcoholic environment, which again is still being developed. But let me first talk to Better Rhodes. So when we started, we were begging companies to give us the opportunity to sell our products. Now it's quite the opposite. We get a couple of sample products shipped to our stores daily, shipped to our main warehouse daily for us to try, and we go through a whole trial process, trying the product, seeing where it fits in, and then putting it onto our shelves. And usually the way we talk about earning a place on the shelf, and the way we usually do that is first starting with our subscription model, getting liquid on lips, getting that product out to customers. And then based on that, we get feedback, we work with the producer and figure out a way to where this fits in. And, in the beginning, everyone who was willing to work with us, we brought on the shelves. Now it's a much more selective process. And what we've seen is the product that kind of paved the path 2 years ago is really, we've seen just new product coming to the market that's better, that's more evolved, more sophisticated, better branding, better support, and that just really helps us make a decision, knowing that we've got a producer with a great product, great support of that product in the market, and is willing to work with us to make sure that they succeed.
Got it. So you're more selective now in your process.
Absolutely more selective now. And I think it's also important and I think we're seeing the evolution of the producers and from a business sense as well, that everyone gets it. Like, you can't just have a great product and put it on the shelf and expect people to buy it. Competition is intense, and we have to really work hard on celebrating what that product is and communicating that. And again, we find that the best way to do that is through our subscription model, and then including it into our curated collection. So if you're buying a collection of our 6 best reds, for example, that your red is included in that. So customers have an opportunity to to taste it and to really enjoy the product.
Great. Yeah, I definitely want to get back to that and how brands are differentiating themselves. But first, Taylor, can you walk us through the alcohol distribution and retail industry and the way in which non-alcoholic brands need to approach this differently?
Yeah, I mean, just a totally different model. I mean, the model on the non-alc side versus the alc side, and honestly, on the alcoholic side, I've talked with Dan and Chris and team about it, but it's changing actually on that side of things too on a daily basis. So it's a cool time to be thinking about kind of the wider space for distributing of all beverages. But in theory, it's a super archaic, super backwards way in which beverage, I mean, just cutting through the noise here. It's like, it's just silly. So like the way in which people can sell beverage alcohol brands is like dating back way before all of our times. But in theory, it's like you have a bourbon brand, you want to sell it to Dan, you can't. You have to sell it through someone who then sells it to Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Even that alone is like, why, right? There are solutions now that are online e-commerce platforms. So I work with Dan and their team, and I actually work on the alcoholic side with some of the leading e-commerce platforms for beverage alcohol, which now enable brands virtually to have their own storefronts online, where technically if you go on the bourbon site, you can click and you will be able to get product as a consumer on their website directly. The difference is that on the back end, there is a fulfillment partner that's virtually fulfilling that for you. So it's kind of like a little bit of a gray area, but that's how it's done now. And yeah, I mean, there are a few traditional distributors that kind of have a chokehold. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 key traditional alcohol distributors, one of which is the largest one that's privately owned, family owned, based out of Miami, $1 billion business. And, as a new brand coming to market, I could go on a whole tirade here, but the general thought is like, these people sell a lot of products, right? And so why would they want to prioritize your bourbon company out of Minnesota when they'll make a lot of money and prioritize a brand like a Tito's or something? So it's just the stacks, I get whatever. The cards are not stacked in your favor in that case. So using kind of on the similar front, like using an online e-commerce platform, similar to the way in which Better Rhodes provides an online platform for non-alc, is just the way in which a lot of these brands are either coming to market right out the bat. They're using these online platforms, or they're incorporating into what I call like a wider omni-channel approach, which is like, how are you in grocery stores? How are you in liquor stores? How are you on cocktail menus? How are you at bars? And then also, how do you have an online presence? And I think most brands are now considering kind of a full omni-channel approach now that things are, I don't know if coming back to normal seems fair to say, but the world is kind of coming back to normal. So
somewhat. Sure. So there's a lot of players and a lot of steps, and obviously every player needs to take a cut, to make their efforts worthwhile. And so it sounds like though there's still someone in the alcohol industry between the producer and the retailer, and that's also what you guys are doing at Better Rhodes. But how is that different than what the alcohol industry is doing?
I think if a brand decides to go through a distributor, that's a great opportunity. And a non-alc brand can go through a traditional alcohol distributor. And in a lot of cases, I can see how it makes sense because they have doors, they have access, they have a track record. I think where we add value is that non-alcoholic is 100% of what we do. So that's our entire focus, as opposed to a traditional distributor where they have like thousands of SKUs, and non-alc is just a segment of a segment. And one of the challenges that we know is associated with non-alc and not with traditional alcohol industry is the fact that the product freezes, the fact that the product codes, and so it does take extra care. And a lot of the times you're talking to a different audience than you are with a traditional alcohol product. So there is a distributor, a traditional alcohol distributor can definitely play a role. We play a unique role in that we can purchase directly and sell directly. Non-alcoholic is 100% of what we do. The majority of our business is online right now, but we're making really strong forays into the wholesale channels. And one of the things that we see resonates with the retail channel in particular is coming to them with a complete category solution, as opposed to just coming in with a bottle or a suitcase full of different products. Is actually providing retailers with a complete category solution, and that's been one of the challenges. Is that we know when customers shop, they don't shop within the category and then search for non-alc version. They don't shop red wine. I'm looking Italian. I want a Barolo. Oh, let's make it non-alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
The first decision is I'm looking for a non-alcoholic product. So the more that we can start to lump those things or bring those things together to help categorize them in a manner that's suitable to the way people shop, I think we do the industry a service. But a lot of that is now working with category managers and getting them to think differently about the product. And in some cases, a non-alc product sits in grocery. Sometimes it sits with alcohol, and trying to get all these different players together can sometimes be a challenge. But we see that's where the growth is, and that's where the future of non-alc is really being celebrated as a unique product in a unique section, but still representative of the quality and the at the end of the day, the price points necessary for the quality and that these products deserve. It's difficult to put our product beside a soft drink or a Martinelli's or something that's priced at $4.99 when the care and the love that goes into these craft created products just demands a price point of like $24 or $25.
Yeah, this is its own category, but
absolutely,
that makes a lot of sense. If you're going to have a category featured in your store, you need more than just one product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you can lump those all together. And it sounds like there's a fair amount of education that you are offering as well to these distributors and retailers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we saw with our customers, and the same questions our customers are asking us, and that emphasis, as I mentioned before, on community and education. It's the same thing with the retailers as well, in that they and restaurant operators and bartenders is like I'm getting asked more about this, but I need to learn more about it. I need to understand where this fits in. And a lot of times it's a long process, but people are willing to learn it. And what's great is the media just continues to support us. It continues to be top of mind, and it's really about health and wellness. And I think a lot of the times, what we have to get some of these traditional buyers away from is that this isn't about being anti-alcohol. This is about empowerment, as opposed to abstinence message, or a health and wellness message as opposed to an anti-alcohol message. And I think that's sometimes where people get tripped up on.
Do you think you can spread that message without also having the lower alcohol? I mean, do you think that's in its own realm, having low alcohol products, or do you think that they can fit hand in hand? It's just not what you're specializing in.
Yeah, I think what we see is that low alc is probably representative of that first step. And I think as the quality of the product, of the non-alc product improves, I can see the low alc product, that kind of in between category, not being as prominent as the quality of the non-alc product. And I'd love Taylor's thoughts on this as well. But what we've seen over the last year is the quality of non-alc product just dramatically continuing to improve.
Sure.
But yeah, Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just, the only thing I was going to add, I 100% agree. I think it's like I always say, like, it feels like there's been this Pandora's box that's opened, and now, Dan and Chris are OGs in this space, and they have been involved in it much longer than I have. And even since I started exploring the space, becoming more mindful of my drinking, trying products, Dan, don't you agree? Like, even since I started, I've become part of the team. I mean, we see brands on a daily, weekly basis, to his point, that are, again, like, they're just, the innovation is there, the interest is there, the money is there, the sales are there. And so I don't see the innovation slowing down. So it's a really exciting time, because, we're just seeing it happen, I think, in real time. And it's an exciting time to be in this space, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And are wholesalers now approaching you and retailers? Are we at that point where you guys don't have to go out and hunt down retail space?
Yeah, so we have a wholesale platform where we have probably 4 or 5 new customers getting added per week. And again, it's an extension of our digital platform. But what's great about non-alc as opposed to, and this is one of the challenges with low alc, is from a non-alc perspective, I can ship with UPS. So we aren't limited by needing to use licensed carriers and a licensed process because this is non-alcoholic. So we can ship directly to stores, which is a huge relief for them. Or we can use different types of processes. We can go through a food distributor as opposed to an alcohol distributor, but we can also go through an alcohol distributor. So, this in many ways is very disruptive of that 3-tiered model that Taylor was speaking to, that basically dates back to prohibition, and it's been ripe for disruption. And non-alc adult beverages are definitely I think the tip of the spear.
Sure. Do you know, if a brand decides to go through a traditional alcohol distributor, are they still applying the same taxes, or are they still pricing it the same?
And Taylor, you may be able to speak more to this, but from our experience, like you said, everyone takes a cut, and distributor plays an important role, right? They can buy large volume and then distribute it out as they need. But they also take a cut to do that, and so the prices that we would see or the cost that we would see from a brand that goes through a distributor are much different from the cost that we see from a producer that sells directly to us.
Sure. Do you have anything to add, Taylor?
No, not on my own.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of problems are being solved right now, which is great. Is there anything that's yet to be resolved? I mean, is there anything that you're still waiting for the industry to kind of catch up to?
I could start. I think what Better Rhodes is doing is a great step in the right direction. I think at a broad high level, and Dan, I'm so curious your thoughts, but I still want to see from just traditional, I guess, visibility of these products, when I'm going to a restaurant or a bar or a wedding. I don't think we're there yet. I think we are getting there, and I think options like Better Rhodes and other companies and other avenues are helping to move the industry in the right direction. But it's going to take time and resources and money and everything else. But that to me is still, I think seeing there's a company called Naughty, is created by this woman named Amanda Thompson out of the UK. And I was at a Neiman Marcus a few weeks ago, and I was shopping with my husband, and you could buy a glass of fake bubbles in the shopping center. And I was like, this is really cool. And that obviously not every single shopping mall is going to have fake beer and fake wine, but you get the point. It's I always feel like the more optionality and the more options there are to people, the more, I guess, mainstream this will become, and the less stigma will exist around people who choose not to drink or drink less. So that's just at a macro level, is just seeing more options, more places, more ongoing, I think will be really exciting. Sure.
Thank you. Daniel, are you as Better Rhodes working with on-premise consumption?
Yes. And it's where we would love to get to is, we see this in Europe. I was traveling through Germany, and it was great because you'd see the regular alcohol strength beer, and then just below it was the same beer but the non-alc version, and it was just part of the same menu. It was just part of the way they shopped and the way they experienced it. And I was driving through Germany with my cousin, who drank his regular beer when I was driving and drank the non-alc when he was driving. We were driving separate days, by the way. It wasn't just on and off. That was just the way we did it. It was just part of the process, and we'd love to get there. but it's a matter of getting people, and I think part of the challenge is we want them to recognize this isn't a substitutional sale. This is an incremental sale. You aren't taking people from a traditional wine and moving them to a non-alc as much as you are taking people from a water or from a Diet Coke to a more adult oriented beverage. So you do that and you can drive incremental revenue, but you also enhance the experience of the customer because they're sitting around a table of like 3 or 4 other people and everyone else is drinking, a $20 bottle of wine or a $40 bottle of wine, and they're drinking a Diet Coke. And what when the research indicates that they'll actually nurse that drink. But if you've actually poured them a great non-alcoholic wine, they would be consuming at the same level and the same frequency as their friends. So what that speaks to is just that there's a higher level of engagement. And if we can communicate that message of incremental revenue and enhancing the customer experience, I think that's the message that will resonate with on-premise, as opposed to that early mindset, which is just, it's a substitutional sale, which it's not.
Yeah. Or the idea of let's just have something on our menu for those people, but not really put any, my attention to detail and to quality, which I hope we see more of that shift in the future. Absolutely.
And I think that early vision of it was, people are going to drink this because they have to, right? That is it's not a choice. It's something they have to do. And now it's completely changed. People are choosing non-alc because for them, it's a healthier option. It's something that they're choosing to do. And we also know that our customers, 80% of our customers are not choosing non-alcoholic beverage all the time. 80% of our customers also purchase alcohol. But it's just at that time, at that month, for this reason, for whatever reason it is. I like to compare it to cake. I love cake, but I don't have cake at every meal. It's just, it's I recognize that it doesn't do me any favors. So and it's an evolution from that binary approach, either you drink or you don't, to a spectrum, which it really speaks to the adoption and where this market's growing into. Exactly. Well, I love that you guys are there to converse with these retailers and on-premise accounts and educate them, because that's the only way we're going to grow as a category. So thank you for that. We're going to wrap up episode 1 of our 3-part series with Better Rhodes here. Next episode is going to air next week, and it's going to be on more category insights and diving into deeper from everything we just talked about. So we'll see you guys then, but thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Taylor. And yeah, have a good day, everyone. Awesome, Kayla. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.